Plot, Pick of the Litter, 2018. Pick of the Litter follows a litter of puppies from the moment they're born and begin their quest to become guide dogs for the blind, the ultimate canine career. Cameras follow these pups through a 2-year odyssey as they train to become dogs whose ultimate responsibility is to protect their blind partners from harm. Along the way, the dogs meet a community of dedicated individuals who train them to do amazing, life-changing things in the service of their human. The stakes are high and not every dog can make the cut. Only the best of the best. The Pick of the Litter. Voiceover off.
When you're blind and watching movies, what will you find? A blind superhero whose superpowers are acting like he's not blind. A sighted actor over dramatically touching people's faces. Or maybe the whole joke is that they're bumping into different places. A spectacular, macular generation. From tunnel vision to your television. And do they off this movie with audio descriptions? They're movie buffs who know their stuff. You'll be thoroughly entertained. Join Sky and Melissa throughout film history and Citizen White Cane.
Hello, and welcome to Citizen White Cane, the podcast that flawlessly guides you through blind representation in media and will never be career changed. My name is Sky McLeod,
I'm Melissa Bukta.
and we are talking about Pick of the Litter today. Pick of the Litter, as I say, I'm realizing is like a microphone cautious title for a movie.
It totally is. I didn't even realize that. Yeah, it was my week to pick the movie this week, and I saw this. I can't remember if I just happened to see it on Netflix or if I heard about it on NPR or something, but I saw this and said, hey, let's do a dog movie. Let's do another guide dog movie. We haven't done one in a while.
Yeah, we did Quill, Life of a Guide Dog. And that movie was basically kind of, I feel like the episode was partly being like, we wish it was this movie instead, in some ways.
Yeah,
Like
no,
it was
I
Pick of the Litter.
totally, yes. And actually, this is a series now on Disney Plus. At least that's where I saw it. And I haven't finished watching the whole thing yet, but it's basically this documentary, but divided up into chunks, and so they can be a lot more detailed with the puppy raisers and with the training experiences and everything. And it's really cool. It's not quite a reality competition show, but sometimes I'm like, feels like it just a little bit.
I could see that. Yeah, it does. Because like it is, watching this movie, I was like, this is such a weirdly American system, the way that they do it. Like there's something just so like, it's funny because you understand why they do it the way they do it, but there's also something weirdly like kind of, it feels sort of heartless the way they're like career change any dog that doesn't pass, but at the same time you're like, it does make logical sense. Like it's not, I mean, it's really not morally suspect. Yeah.
Right. I mean, they have to. Like one of the dogs is career changed because he just cannot get over the I see it, I have to grab it urge.
Right.
I think it's either Potomac or Patriot. It's one of them. They both, spoiler alert, they both don't make it.
Yeah.
But you definitely can't have a guide dog that does that. I mean, they could ram, they could really hurt their human.
Yeah. So. No, it makes perfect sense. So the whole time I was like, yeah, this is super logical, but there's something, it just feels like a weirdly, just kind of like striving overly, American dream, but also like it has a similar kind of feeling of like you get cut. Like luckily the dogs are gonna like
yeah
they're gonna go to a good home most likely if they go to a blind person or not, because they can be adopted, they can be a less rigorous service animal like if they're well trained but not enough for a blind person.
That was really cool. Right, that part was really cool because I mean this documentary is super in depth. Like I know a few things about guide dogs, but I learned a whole lot I didn't know about guide dogs. And I watched this with my parents because I was like, this movie, you guys want to watch a movie about guide dogs? And so they learned a shit ton about guide dogs that they didn't know.
Yeah.
And yeah, these dogs can be the ones that get career change. They can either be adopted out into good homes, and we see that happen. They can become seizure dogs, or like you said, or like less
Right, because they say guide dogs are like
needy service dogs.
they're the most like rigorously trained and picked. Like it's the hardest to be. It's the Harvard of service animal dumb, basically.
Right, because a guide dog. I loved the way they put this near the beginning of the movie. A guide dog has to be trained to obey and then know when to disobey.
Oh yeah, I guess there is no
a blind
other
person.
service animals that do that.
Right, because a guide dog, especially with the traffic training, which freaked me out, but mostly because I've been hit by a car and
I love when they
almost,
do it. It's
almost hit by cars.
It's so funny. They're just like, because what they do when they're doing the traffic training is they have like people from the guide dog organization as part of the training is in a car. So you have like this car that has like guide dog stuff on it, and they're just like basically there's like one scene in the first scenes we see them doing this. They're just like ramming into the actual person and the dog. It's just, you're like, whoa! It like feels weird. It like feels like so aggressive.
I mean, they're going at a very slow speed.
No, they're going.
Still.
It is. Yeah. It's true. It's real, but it's just so funny because they're not hurting the person, but there's just something that's so like all your alarm bells of like this shouldn't be happening. It's going off when they're like purposefully driving a car at a dog. But like the dog, I don't know if the dog was like not doing enough to disobey because they're supposed to like back up when a car does what they were doing, but it was just and
create a barrier between
the
you
dog
and the car,
right? Because they do that
dogs,
when they hear the car coming and you're trying to walk. Which I guess no, they probably see the car coming because we can hear the car coming. But they do disobey if there's a car, and they'll stop you like in your tracks if you're safely on the sidewalk. But if while you're crossing the street, if a car like turns, which is always the biggest fear I have, like then the dog will, instead of walking forward, will walk you back, and so will like basically reverse,
or they'll walk you forward, walk you forward or walk you back, and they're trained to like pick up speed, like step it up a little bit to get you out of the way.
Right, exactly. But it is just like so funny that just to be it was just like what like they're driving into this person with a guide dog.
Oh, I know. I was like so afraid. That's high anxiety. No. Yeah, but this, oh God, watching this movie makes me want to get a guide dog even more. Like I know. Not gonna lie, I was ready to like boot up the computer and start filling out applications.
Oh, did you not get that application open during the movie and then be like, oh, I have to record a podcast on this and now I'm gonna not pay attention? Because that happened to me.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I didn't quite do that because I love dogs. I've been raised with dogs. So like a dog comes on the screen and I'm paying attention.
Oh, yeah.
And, and one of the first things you see after the introduction is like baby puppy dogs. So like I was in it. Like I don't think I looked at my phone once during this movie. Actually, I was really invested.
Yeah, I think I was just like, oh, I want to go see what it is, and then I was like, this is not. I can't multitask like this. I would also if I'm gonna be looking at this stuff, I need to have it read to me. So this is not a smart way to be using my time. But now I do want to go back and look it up because I just had the urge while I was watching too. But I mean, I think, there's this. The movie, I guess we haven't like fully stated what the entire conceit of the movie. We have a litter of 5 puppies, and we see them being born. So
the pea litter,
and so they go to basically we watch them from being born to going through all the trials and tribulations a guide dog must go through, and we see how they get career changed, which means that they don't get to be guide dogs, as we said before, and we also see the ones that kind of keep going up through the system. So we get to see the entire system, but it ends on graduation with the blind people who do get their dogs that make it all the way to becoming guide dogs. That's kind of the end of the movie, is when they're doing their graduation now with the guide dog. And I think then the epilogue is just kind of like what happened to all the other dogs, which I guess what happened to
nice.
Was it what happened to the dogs, or did they also show us the puppy raisers that didn't have a dog in the end?
Not as much as no.
Yeah, I think it was mostly the
It was mostly
dogs.
what happened to the dogs. Yeah,
Which is kind of funny.
and out of our and out of our 5 puppies that we get to see out of the P litter, only 2 in the end make it to become guide dogs. I mean, they show the statistic, which is about out of every 800 dogs, only 300 make it through the program.
So I guess
and
this
become
is
guides.
typical. About to have 2 of 5 seems around typical, and one of them becomes a breeder, which is apparently the highest honor, even though they only have 2 like that would be female pups. So there's only 2 that could become breeders.
Well, because that's true. Because the breeders, I'm guessing it's not. They don't really go into a lot of detail, and I'm not a dog breeder, but what I'm guessing is they're looking for the dogs that. Like, I think Primrose would have made a really great guide dog, but because she's a girl and she had such a wonderful temperament and everything, it made more sense for them to make her a breeder so she can make more dogs rather than just sending her off to be a guide dog.
Right, which is like, it was kind of, I felt sort of weird about it. I was like, so you don't get to, like, I don't know, it's very hard not to like weirdly project human things onto these dogs. But I was just like, it made it seem like, oh, so if you have reproductive organs that you're like, or sorry, if you have like a womb, then you're in a different like class, and that you're it could be that you don't ever get to be like, I don't know. I guess it's just thinking if I was a dog, I would much rather be a guide dog than like be forced to like fucking be a mom to these puppies. You know what I mean?
This is sounding like Doggy Handmaid's Tale, and I'm really scared.
I mean, that's what breeding is technically. I think I haven't watched Handmaid's Tale, but
right. I mean, again, I'm not a dog breeder. I don't know anything about this program, so I'm just speaking from like. Maybe it's like this, but I'm assuming they don't make these poor dogs breed their entire lives. I mean, I'm guessing they could probably get like 2 to 3 litters out of a dog, and then they are adopted out.
Probably.
They're not just like slaughtered or whatever. I mean,
no, of course not.
They treat these dogs very well. So
right. It's more me projecting my like. Yeah. My wants in the world to be like, oh, so like you just have a much less like, because if you are a male dog and you are good at training and you do well in all the tests, then you get to be a guide dog. But like you can do really well but still just be that's your dog. Thing is being bred. It's totally projecting. It's not like it's not a real thing, because obviously the dogs are not going to be thinking the same way I am. It's not really a fair comparison, but it was just like something that I mean, also just the weird thing about dog breeding is just like it always has a weird, like, we would like this when we do this with humans, it's extremely horrible and inhumane. Like, that's like the Holocaust, when we're like so there's always like a weird squidginess of it for me. It's really hard not to even though like I don't think it's the same thing at all, it's still just hard for me not to think about it in the same way as like, what if we did this with humans, like, because that's horrible.
Sure. No, I totally get that, because that's what pedigrees are. They're the designer dog breeds, these traits that people have decided are
the good ones,
and that they want are bred out or in to these different breeds of dogs. And it is weird, and it does feel very odd and very unattached, because it's also kind of like the thing that the upper crust people do.
Right. I mean, like I grew up with mutts. Shows. I love a good mutt. Yes. Those are my favorites. So
mutts are the best. Yeah, all of my dogs that I've had have been mutts. Yeah. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with purebred, or with wanting a purebred, or like, I can't say that there's anything wrong with purebreds, because some of those breeds are just like, whoa, so many health problems. But a lot of them do. But adopt a mutt. Adopt a mutt. There was this cute little dog show. I don't know if the town of Seward back home, I don't know if they're doing it, if they do it every year, if they're even still doing it. But it was called like Nuts for Mutts or something, and it was just a celebration of like dogs. Like, bring your dog. We don't care what breeds they are. We're not even going to say what breed the dog is, because we don't care.
Nice.
They're your dog.
You don't even have to know.
Right.
Yeah.
We're just here to like have fun and play games and celebrate or whatever, and all the dogs got to, if you wanted to do it with your dog, you all got to walk the ring and
Aw.
get applause, and they had like a People's Choice winner, and it's just silly fun stuff.
That's
Yeah.
yeah, that's sweet. It's they're dogs, so it's slightly different, but yeah, no, it was interesting, this whole the like, just to talk more about like kind of how the guide dog thing works. And we see a lot of the movies about the puppy raisers, which are the people who
Yeah.
kind of like, before they go into like the hardcore, like I think they compare it to like puppy college, basically, like which is right before they get matched with a blind person, where they're like actually being really truly trained to be guide dogs, and they're having like, they have to pass a test to get to even be a guide. Well, basically they have to pass their final 5 tests, where they have to pass all of them, and they only get 2 chances. So if they fail any one of them, then, and they fail it twice, then they can't be guide dogs. So that's puppy college, but then before that, they're basically in different puppy raisers. Sometimes a lot of the dogs we see, I guess, are in multiple houses, basically.
Which kind of floored me. I did not think it worked like that. I guess I should have figured, like, if you put a dog in a house, it's just sometimes they're not right. Either the house is not the right environment for the dog to learn, which is what we see a couple of times here, or the dog just doesn't. It's just not a good setting for them.
It's weird because the way they treated it was super weird. I did not understand it seemed like it was very obtuse, and like you said, there was a couple times where we saw puppy raisers, we didn't get to actually see what was the questionable behavior, but like it seemed like in certain households, like anytime there was like new puppy raisers, there was always like a weird impersonal, but it felt sort of judgy, because sometimes it was like they'd be like, well, this dog is not, like, it's a bad human dog match, but then sometimes it would be like, yeah, but this dog was not doing, like, but they assumed it was the human, if the human was not as experienced a puppy raiser, but then if they were more experienced, they assumed it was the dog. And I was like, this seems like way too consistent to actually be legitimate, like, but I mean, I guess it's like, it has to be impersonal, and they have to, and it makes sense to, like, if the dog is not behaving well, it could actually be that the dog is just not equipped for this, which is totally fine. But like, it was weird because it always kind of felt like they were blaming the humans until they gave them to a more experienced raiser, and then they blamed the dog. Like, it was just a weird, I don't know, I felt weird about it.
I mean, right. And I especially feel bad for Patriot is a really interesting case, because Patriot gets kind of bopped around to people, and he's one of the ones that doesn't end up making it. But I felt really apprehensive with his first puppy raiser, the kid in high school, and nothing against this kid. Like, I'm sure he seemed really into it, and his mom seemed really into it, and he just wanted to help. Like, he just wanted to try, but it doesn't work out. He can't really get Patriot's, like, mouthing was the biggest thing. He can't really get him to stop biting.
But like, what did he do? Like, my question is like,
right.
Like, it seemed like it could easily have been that it was just like, that was what he was doing at that developmental stage. Like, it seemed like weirdly like they were blaming the kid when I had no reason to believe it was the kid's fault, Right.
I mean, I don't know. I kind of took a look at him and was like, I really don't think this is gonna work out. I don't. But
wait,
that's
why? I want to know why.
I don't. I guess I in a lack of experience, I think it was my biggest thing. Because, like, oh yeah, Patriot's his first guide dog, but Patriot, has all these needs, and he might be a little too much for this kid, which is kind of sort of what happened. So I don't blame the kid. I don't think it's the kid's fault. But the kid, this was his first puppy. So
yeah, I mean, I got that. It
that's
just
hard too.
The way they talked about it seemed weird to me, because it was just like, this is like a kid, so also like it felt like the kid was likely to take it personally too, so it didn't feel like there was a lot of tact in dealing with that.
look at him, like he goes to give Patriot to the new Razors, and him and his mom are leaving, and he's in tears
Yeah, I felt for
because
him so
he's
much.
so upset. Yeah.
Like he was so excited, and he had like a lot of like, I could see like him not wanting to like train puppies again because of that. I don't know. It just felt like it felt weird to me, and it felt like, I guess I'm just like more. I would want to, if I, maybe I would be bad at running a guide dog school, but I would want to have like more humanity for the puppy raisers, and like also understanding that like, you know, Patriot in the end goes to a few different places and in the end is just not cut out for it, and does, you know, makes progress but just can't be a guide dog. It's just not, doesn't have what it takes. And so,
He's
but
not,
you blame this kid, and then you also have the next raiser as a disabled like vet who is like, he has PTSD and like has dealt with so much like hardship and is going through a lot of like mental health crises things, and like this is something that's really helping him get up in the morning, and then he kind of in the end winds up feeling sort of blamed for Patriot, and then he like thankfully actually gets to like adopt Patriot in the end, but like that it felt weird because I was like, in the end you kind of made these people feel like it was their fault when it obviously wasn't like
and it brings up the whole impersonal aspect of it, because, and I think Anthony explains it, he's the disabled vet, I think he explains it in the best way, which is you sign a contract with these people and they don't have to tell you why or how or whatever if they want to move the dog on to another puppy raiser.
Right.
They just do it. They just inform you that this is happening. And and so it is, I think he uses the word impersonal as well. It is an extremely impersonal process. And if that happened to me, you're right, I would feel the exact same way. Obviously I did something wrong.
Right. And it could you just got a bad dog, like, or not a bad dog. You could get a dog that was just never destined to be a guide dog, and that was just because, you know, I mean, like, I look at my dog, I love him to pieces. He just would, no matter how much you train him, he would not be a good guide dog. You know, there are just a lot of things he does that, like, weird personality quirks that, like, you can do stuff to train out of dogs, but, like, there's some dogs that are just going to be more, you know, personality wise, they're just way more receptive to that, like, than others. And so I just felt like both like the kid and what is his name, the veteran?
Oh, Anthony.
Like both of them really did, it seemed like, feel kind of like they hadn't done enough, and it was just also, it just felt like they were the two people of all the puppy raisers that kind of like really were the most like, they felt more scrappy and like they were trying and didn't have the same level of privilege to like have like present themselves as perfect, but it seemed like they were probably doing more work because that was such a like, it kind of was a more like, I don't know, it's just like I empathize with those two people more than anyone else in the movie, like, and so I was just kind of like frustrated by how they were so impersonal to the two of them, and they didn't like sit them down and be like, hey, this it could be that Patriot is just not set up to be a guide dog, like, and so we want to like, we're just gonna check to see if possibly it has to do with the training, or like that there's something, you know, in your environment that's making them hard for them to like learn, but like it is, you didn't do anything wrong, like this is just, we're gonna see, it could be that it, you know, it's very possible Patriot's just not cut out for this, like, but thank you so much for like doing everything you can, you know, like you do that takes 5 minutes, and then like you have, and then also you have someone who's going to get better, and then you have a veteran puppy raiser eventually, because they feel like there's, you know, they're being listened to and cared for there, and they feel like they did something to help, and that ultimately what they did do, if Patriot does wind up being a guide dog, like that they could like they also feel like they were the ones who helped do that, as opposed to like, if like feeling like it's their, you know, fault, like that even if they become a guide dog, that it's like, okay, well, they only became a guide dog because because someone else was the one who finally raised them, like, and so it is my problem because when they were with me they weren't a guide, you know what I mean, like you can just do all this mental gymnastics to like feel weird about it. So I just wish there had been like more communication. We even see this another puppy raiser family that was their first time, and they felt very disgruntled because they just randomly had the guide dogs. The guide dog place just called them up and be like, so yeah, we always wanted to like move them to someone who was more experienced, and they were like, what? We didn't know this.
That was Phil, I think, is the other one who gets bounced around a couple of times. It was either Phil or Primrose. I'm pretty sure it was Phil.
Yeah, I think it was Phil.
He gets bounced around. And that one was kind of one that that totally blindsided me. I was like, I don't understand. I really don't.
Well, because and also we see them the guide dogs people sitting down with this family, and they're like, yeah, we're really committed. And there's like this woman is just like lecturing them, and it's like on the first day, and they're like getting in calls being like, you have to do this, and they're and it seems just like there was just, I don't know, I felt really shitty it felt shitty for them as well, because it was just like, just because it's their first time doesn't mean they need to be treated like children. And like it also felt like they were like kind of set up to fail, because this woman was like doubting them all the time and like their capabilities, and it felt really bad to me. I did not like that either, because they were like judgy from the beginning.
And it's interesting if you compare, because the spin-off version of this, the show, the actual TV show, Pick of the Litter, you compare a lot of the puppy raisers to the ones that you see on that show, and it's almost a 50-50 split. Like obviously it's all families on the TV show, but the people in the family who are doing the puppy raiser are the kids, like the high schoolers, high school kids. They're doing most of the work.
Wow.
And then yes, you do have older, single men, older experienced puppy raisers, but it's a lot of it is more focused on these kids who are actually
doing the work,
doing the work and doing the puppy raising. I'm not saying their families aren't helping them, because they are. But
that's the thing, is it can be
interesting.
Like,
yeah,
it can be a fun thing for like the kids to learn, I guess. I mean, it's weird because I'm just like, these people are doing like really like they're doing a lot of free labor. So the best you could do is be appreciative of that. Like I was just like, I don't know. I felt like some of them got like short change, and then I was also like, you have like the people who've been doing this for a while are getting treated very differently than the people who are starting out. But like then there was a question of like, is this a new cultural thing? Because like, how are you getting these people who've done it 10 times when it seems like the way you're treating the people who've just started? I could have very easily imagined most of them not coming back, because they felt like not listened to, or they felt kind of disgruntled by the whole thing. And it seemed like a weird policy to me. I would think you would want people to have a good experience, and you'd want them to feel motivated, like intrinsic motivation, instead of being like weird and judgy and then like making them feel like it was their fault that
and maybe these other people who have been ostracized, maybe they move on to another guide dog program, because there are more programs in the US than just this one that this film focuses on. So maybe it's possible. Just they don't fit they didn't fit this program. Didn't fit them. It didn't fit them, so they have to
go somewhere
move on,
else.
And hopefully they find somewhere else or some other program that treats them better, and that they can feel like they're doing good in. But yeah, that was really interesting to see, just all of the intricacies in the puppy raising step, in all the things that they have to do. And I mean, I have never been a puppy raiser, but I've had friends who've done it.
Oh, how was that?
And it's fun. I mean, I get all the fun. I don't have to do any work. I get all the fun of like getting to play with them and getting to see them work with their little vests on, and all that.
I could see.
So, I don't know.
It seems like it would be a really fun thing, but it's also a lot of work, and so you'd also want like them to be supportive. You would want, if you're doing a volunteer organization, people are, part of that is like being really thankful of the people who are giving up their time. Like it seems wrong to me to like not show that respect, but I mean, I don't know. I think it's a hard thing to fully, but I thought that was fascinating just to kind of get to see these, and it was also interesting to watch the like veteran, I mean not the veteran like Anthony veteran, but like the ones who had been raised like 10 different puppies. And I love the couple from they're from like San Francisco or something, where they're like, yeah, we always there's a few different people who are like, we always get the trouble dogs, and I'm like, yeah, that would be me. I would definitely be that person. Just like
Right. Oh yeah, because they're the ones that get either Potomac. I don't think they got Phil, because Phil wasn't a trouble dog, but like Potomac
I
and
think Phil
Patriot.
was.
It was Phil, yeah, because Phil had some issues that got worked out, but
Yeah, because Phil
yeah,
like bites the husband.
right, he bites him in the nose. Yeah. Oh my gosh, Phil.
Yeah, there was.
And then of course,
Yeah.
oh, we haven't even mentioned Poppet, sweet Poppet, because Poppet's like a rock star.
Yeah,
Poppet did everything
Quill, the
perfectly.
life of a guide
Yeah,
dog.
basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Poppet is best guide dog. She scared me a little bit because she failed her final exam. She actually failed 2 of the tests and then had to go back and be retested. And I was like, oh my God, she's not going to make it. And then she passed with flying colors. And I was like, yeah, go Poppet.
It's so funny. I was thinking like they must like. It's weird that they don't know what's happening, you know? And it's like this weird thing of like the trainers probably have a lot of anxiety about it, but like the dogs are just like, they don't understand. They're just like, yeah, this is just doing the normal things. Like, it's weird that they have just no concept of the consequences of like the whole system, you know?
Yeah. But it's interesting to me. Yeah, exactly. But it's beautiful because like they're working dogs. They want to work. They have that drive in their brain that's like, okay, I want to go to work now. It's time to go to work. It's what gives them joy. Yeah. Which is really cool. So no, they probably have no idea what's going on, but
it is just
they have a fun time doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. You would hope. Though part of it was like there was some, you know, some of the dogs that seemed like you're like, okay, I could see that they're malleable, didn't wind up like getting in, but then like Phil, who was like a trouble dog and had a like weird energy, like it was just kind of one of those things where I'm like, some of this has got to be chance too. Like the difference between some of these is like, you know, they might have just been tested on a better day or a worse day, and like just having a, you know, worse testing day could have mean that you don't become a guide dog, whereas having like and it's like you just happen to be tested on like the best day for you, you know, then there you go. Right. You're a guide dog. And like there's a weird thing of like, but then it's like your entire working life now, like you've qualified for this, but like are you actually like, you can, I mean, truly you can never know, so you have to like make some sort of arbitrary, like even though they're not completely they're definitely not arbitrary, but like you have to like have a little bit of chaos in the system, just because you can never know like if the dogs are going to be the right fit. But like it is kind of interesting thinking about like that's not really the end of the process, even when they're matched, like, and they do the testing with the blind person. Like, it could be that the blind person takes them home and they're not, like, well behaved. And it was just like, that's still a big possibility. And I think there's, I hope that the sense of like, this is a perfect system that gets the best guide dogs. Part of me was like, I hope people like in the system are aware that like you can still, like, you know, I have friends who've had bad experiences with guide dogs that just weren't ready, and like it's not their fault that happened. But I think that it's like, I think it's important that it's just like these dogs don't, they understand commands and they understand what they've been taught, and some of them are more obedient or whatever than others, but like they're still half of the team. And so I think sometimes it like falls way more on the disabled person, and then also on the puppy raisers. Like part of me was just like felt a lot of empathy for the people, like it, you know, because the dogs, again, they like it, they don't even understand what's happening. They don't understand that this is exactly their job, like in the same way that we understand it. And so I felt like I was like, don't blame the humans when a dog might just have some weird personality quirk, you know. But I don't know, that's maybe my own weird thing of just like having just, I don't know, I was just kind of from, I guess also from having personal like, or talking to friends who've had experiences with like guide dogs not being like ready to be guide dogs, and like they still got through the system. So, you know, I think there's a sense of like, it's kind of like if you get into Harvard you must be smart. It's like, no, you can be a dumbass and still get into Harvard. You know, you just if your dad went to Harvard you're fine, so you're in Harvard, so it doesn't mean you're smart. That's a whole other thing. But yeah, that's my little thing about the humans. But Yeah.
Well, and I mean, it's wonderful to see at the very end at graduation. It's wonderful to see Phil and Poppet, get their humans, and they seem to be getting along really well. And even after the little epilogue that we got at the end of the movie, and I was, I'm crying at graduation because it's so wonderful, it's so momentous and amazing. But I was also so happy with Patriot's story when Anthony finds out that he can adopt him.
Yeah, that was the only part I cried about, actually.
Oh, yeah. And now they're working on like PTSD stuff, and oh God, it's so wonderful. It's so wonderful. And I'm not I don't think they said like what the statistic was as far as like people actually get to readopt, like puppy raisers actually get to readopt their puppies. But I think they said it doesn't happen super often.
Oh, really? I would assume it would. I mean, since so few of them actually make it, you would think that they'd probably get likely to be adopted.
Yeah.
But it was I mean, that made me cry. Yeah, it's funny. I didn't cry at all during the graduation. That was less of a thing for me. I definitely cried when he adopted Patriot because it was just
wonderful.
Yeah. That really got me because he was like, I don't know, like also answering on the phone for Veterans Crisis Line people. So I like saw a lot of people I've worked with like in him, and I just like that was such a sweet thing. I love how they're like, I know this is a lot when they call him to be like, do you want to adopt Patriot? And they're like, I'm happy to give you some time to think. And he's like, so I took the time to think, and absolutely definitely want to. I just really liked him a lot. It was just that was a good underdog story amongst, and then it was cute because he was a veteran and he was like their Patriot. It's a perfect, I don't know. It was just very sweet to me.
And then they're reunited. Him and Patriot are reunited, and you can tell just by the Patriot's body language, like he knows exactly who Anthony is, and he could tell like, okay, I'm going back home to live with Anthony, and this is my life. Like that's gonna happen. Oh my God, it was so good.
It was so sweet.
It was so nice.
Yeah. And then it's funny when they were doing the graduation with the actual blind people. I was like, yeah, I know blind people get guide dogs. That's normal. Like, I have lots of friends with guide dogs. I know about this. I
can't help it. I love dogs, and to see these dogs from like little baby puppies to go all the way and like, oh my God, and now they're dogs, and then they're guide dogs, and they're gonna guide these really nice people who really need a guide dog. And so
that's interesting. Who do you think are the heroes of the story?
Oh wow, that's a really good question. That's a hard question though. Wow. Because it's so easy to say like, oh, the dogs are the heroes.
Yeah.
Because guide dogs are extraordinary. Because in the beginning, we have that montage of blind folks who were talking about their amazing guide dogs. I mean, one dude's guide dog saved him on 9/11.
Yeah, have you heard the This Is Love story about that? It's like 45 minutes. So I was like, yeah, I know this fucking story. Yeah, it's really intense.
Oh my God.
I would definitely listen to it. It like destroyed me for a while. Like when I listen to podcasts about blind people, I don't know. It does. That's why I never listen to this podcast. No, I do. But
thanks a lot, Sky.
Podcasts about blind people are really great. You should always listen to them. I don't listen to that many that are like actually hosted by blind people, other than ours, of course, which is a good one. But there are other good ones out there. But I just get overwhelmed by like hearing stories about blind people because we just never hear stories about ourselves, and so it just overwhelms me sometimes. It's weird. I don't know why, but that one is like, I also just get overwhelmed anytime I hear someone describe what happened on 9/11, which I feel like most people get overwhelmed by hearing those stories. So it was just like, I really like, it took me a couple days to like be like, oh my gosh, okay, we're done being overwhelmed by this.
But, I have to. Oh boy, I have to listen to that.
But yeah, but then I also at the beginning of the movie was like, I know this story. I heard the whole piece about it and thought about it for multiple days afterwards.
But I mean, to think like these dogs have to make decisions for themselves sometimes. They have to make decisions. And like you said, they're a team, so they have to make decisions to benefit the team.
Yeah,
and this dog absolutely 1,000% saved his life.
No, I mean, honestly, it was the first two shots of the movie we're talking about this, and when when they had him interviewed, I actually was like, oh, do I have the energy to watch this movie right now?
Oh, no.
Because I was
Oh,
like,
no.
it took me multiple days to recover from hearing that radio piece, and so I was like, I can't do this again. Like, I can't see a movie about this. Like, it's too much. Like, that piece, like, really. Yeah, I still think about it daily, and it just was very overwhelming to me. And so I was like, I don't think I'm in the right headspace to do this again. But it's not about his story again, because I would have been too overwhelmed to watch the movie, maybe. I mean, I can't imagine they won't make some movie about it sometime. It feels like such a Hollywood movie thing, but definitely This Is Love. They have multiple. There's actually 2 different episodes that fucking fucked me up about blind people on This Is Love. One of them was one of the first episodes was about well, I don't want to spoil it, but it was like, oh, it fucked me up as well. I'm gonna have to go find the titles of both, because
yeah, I need to listen to these.
Yeah.
Wow, I haven't had a good cry in a long time, so cool.
Yeah, if you really want to be very emotionally engaged in something, definitely check out that episode of This Is Love. Both, yeah, and then the other older episode that's also very, blind person. Yeah, lots of blind people stuff. But it is, but anyway, the movie is mostly about people raising puppies, and it's a lot less emotionally like roller coaster as that story is.
This is a very happy up movie in general. I mean, it's, this is a fun, fascinating thing. It's not meant to be sad.
No, it is definitely not meant to be sad at all. But yeah, I don't know why. It is kind of funny. I guess it makes sense that the puppy graduation made you cry. I don't know why it didn't. I don't know what's wrong with me. I was just like, isn't this what we were doing this whole time? We were supposed to be for blind people.
Yeah. It was like the culmination of, these 2 years of intense training. And now they're guide dogs, and they're going out into the world to do good. And yeah.
It's interesting because that's not the end of the story, though. But anyway,
No, of course not. But I guess your question about who are the heroes of the story. I mean, probably the puppy raisers.
Yeah, I think so.
To be honest, they spend the most time with the dogs. And yes, the dogs, when they go back to puppy college, they're trained by the staff there. And those guys, I think, are amazing too, because they have to like take these puppies who've been, loved on and socialized and molded and everything, and they have to really like shape them and focus and get them hyper focused and make them want to work.
They're definitely I mean, it's also like a job of like, it's kind of they're heroes in the same way that like someone who works on assistive technology is a hero. It's just kind of like that's not to understate it, but there is a feeling of just like, there's a lot of good people in the world who do things that benefit others, like that's I like normalizing that. But I do think the puppy raisers who give up so much of their time and like kind of are put on this weird emotional roller coaster to like and to also like do something that feels so far from them, like even though they do get to meet the blind person, if they go to them, there's also like a likelihood that it's almost could feel futile in the end if they don't make it, like there is a weird, it's just such a emotional like roller coaster for them.
You devote all of your time to this dog. You give a year of your life to this dog, and then you have to watch as they get taken away. Even though they're going to a better place and hopefully they're going to do something amazing, but it still hurts. They say don't get attached. That's impossible. How can you not? And I feel especially bad for like the families with children, because I'm like, what are you doing to your kids?
I mean, but that's kind of sweet though. I don't know. I liked that. I like teaching kids like, just to be of service. I don't know. I really like that. I think it's sweet.
No, I get it. I do see where you're coming from. I just like, oh God, your kid's gonna get so attached to this puppy, to this dog, and then you have to just, puppy's gonna go away now. I guess
But it's
Yeah, I
all
don't know.
puppies go, all dogs
That's
eventually go
true.
away. So it's like
That's
something a
true.
kid's gonna learn if there's a puppy in their life, no matter what. So I do think that like framing it in a way of like service and supporting others and kind of
Right.
even being a cog in a in a machine that produces good things, like there's something kind of, I don't know, I just really like that. I think that's a great thing to expose children to. I don't know, but maybe that's my weird thing.
No, it's not weird. It's not weird at all. It's
Because if we had
wonderful.
more kids being like more kids raised like that, then we would probably have a less ableist society because people would be like, yeah, it's our
True.
responsibility to fucking help disabled people because they don't have the same access to things as we do. And then,
Yeah.
and that's on
Yeah.
us, and we should be the ones, giving our time instead of forcing them to like, because I think that in a way, like it is, as much as I have like sometimes have weird things about like the way that the system works and stuff, but it is a very like there is something very good, feeling good about that idea that you have a bunch of people who are like volunteering their time to do something that's then free for blind people. I mean, like if more things were like that, for us, then we would have a better world. Like most things are not the way that guide dogs are. Like most things cost us money, cost us extra work.
Right.
And then
right.
we're still held to the abled standards, even though we're not given anywhere near the same tools. And then we like don't have as much, then we get disadvantaged, because we don't have any money and we don't have all these things. And then it's like a downward spiral of like shittiness. And rarely are there other people silently doing the work to make the world more accessible to us. And then we're kind of given that opportunity because that's what's fair, like it is what's fair, but it's never seen as what's fair. And so guide dogs in a way is one of the few places where that is like kind of the power dynamics are like that. So I think overall I really like that idea about guide dogs, but yeah, it's just it's just an interesting, it's really, I mean, it is kind of, it's this movie was super interesting because it is really kind of like, I only knew about the system in vague terms, and so seeing this was I really did appreciate that. Yeah, I think it was like a very cool thing to watch.
I really hope, and I really hope more people watch this, and I hope more people watch the TV series because that's also really super interesting.
Yeah, what is the difference? I mean, we talked about the kids. It'd be more about kids.
There's So it's, I mean, obviously it's a TV series, so it's broken up into different episodes. So you get to spend a little bit more time. It's still only focusing on, I think, 5 or 6 dogs.
Okay.
But they're not all from the same litter. They're just different dogs that they decided to focus on. And you get to spend a little bit more time with each dog and each raiser, and you get to know them and root for them a little bit more. And then usually at the end of an episode, there's like they're preparing for in like the first couple episodes is they're preparing for these evaluations that have to be done in order to see if the puppies are I remember what it was. They're preparing for the evaluations to see if the puppies are ready to, if they're meeting their goals and if they're ready to go on to puppy college.
Okay.
That's what it was.
And so do you follow one puppy an episode, or
you follow little bits of each puppy every episode?
Okay. So it's not one episode is just a puppy and then you're doing it all again. That would be kind of a bad way of setting it up. But.
Yeah, no. You're following little bits of every puppy each episode.
Okay.
But yeah, and it's it doesn't necessarily start from like birth. It starts, okay, here we're gonna introduce you to the puppies and the puppy raisers. They're still pretty young puppies, but yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
It's just really sweet. It just makes you feel good, and yeah, it's a really fascinating look into what it takes to raise a guide dog and what you have to do.
Yeah, apparently it takes a lot.
A whole lot.
Yeah.
A whole heck of a lot.
I did know that before watching the movie. But...
yeah, but it's knowing and then seeing it happen before your eyes is kind of, or watching it happen, listening to it happen before your eyes is kind of
Interesting.
different, I guess.
Yeah. I think
No,
do you feel like watching this changed how you think about it in a fundamental way, or more just it kind of like filled in the details?
Definitely filled in the details.
Yeah, me too.
And if anything, I caught myself, especially during the graduation, but if anything, I caught myself daydreaming about having a guide dog.
Oh, well, yeah, of course.
And my folks are like, "Do you want one?" And I was like, I've always wanted a guide dog." And I'm like, well, I don't know if I've always wanted one, but because it's so hard, especially when you have some vision, because people will tell you, "Oh, you have too much vision for a guide dog, so don't ask." And that was just something that my parents have never said that to me, but just
in
certain people from
in the
certain
world,
programs,
or like actually in a guide dog program, or a blind program of some kind.
In like a blind program.
Fuck that.
In the world and in a blind program.
Fuck
I know. The blind program in Anchorage was weird, but yeah,
it's almost like they're weird everywhere. It's almost like every time I've ever heard someone describe one, they feel a certain
weird.
way about it. Weird.
I mean, I've been told I have too much vision, but I've also been told by an actual dog program, it doesn't matter if you are visually impaired and blind, you are entitled to a guide dog.
I think I've been told that by people in different types of authority, but then also I did call a guide dog one, and they were like, yeah, you use your eyes to get around too much. And I was like, okay, like, I'm scared. I don't want to.
Exactly. Like, if someone
you.
asked me, yeah, I mean, if I sat down with someone from a program or whatever, and it's like, why do you think you need a guide dog? Well, I think I need a guide dog because my cane is fine and nice, and I like my cane. But my cane just doesn't. People just don't get it. I'm so sick and tired of being almost hit by cars. I'm really tired of that. So I think a guide dog would help me get around a little bit faster.
Yeah, because that's like the main thing they do is save you from cars, it feels like. Or 9/11,
yes.
just one or the other.
Or 9/11, yeah. I mean, these blind folks with these dogs, like, they are zipping down the street. I mean, they're moving at like a pace, a healthy pace.
Yeah, they're moving it. I was like watching the trainers moving as fast as I do, and I was like, fuck yeah, you can, like, that's the speed.
Yeah.
Oh my god, hiking. I just went on a hike like a few days before watching, or like a week before watching this episode.
Right.
Oh my god, is going on a hike with a cane so infuriating. It is like my shoulder hurts for days afterwards. I'm like, this shouldn't happen. This is such an easy hike for me. Like, no other part of my body has any problem, but like, have this impossible decision of like, do I want to like destroy my shoulders, like, because I usually will switch and I will wind up destroying both shoulders, or do I want to like really risk actually falling, because like it is very likely that I could genuinely fall without my cane
and just destroy your cane. Like, that'll make you go through canes pretty quickly. And I mean, I know you can get like a hiking cane, but still.
Can you? What is a hiking cane?
Like a cane made of stronger stuff.
Wait, but if it's stronger is not what I need. I need a whole different design, because it's like, the problem is that it yanks your shoulder back when you're in, like, so it also has to like operate differently, basically.
I think I said hiking cane and I meant walking stick. Never mind.
Oh, so just not a cane at all.
I'm an idiot.
No.
There you go.
I see. No. Some people, they look like canes, but I thought you were saying that there was, because this is like my partner and I spent the whole time talking about how, like, we were like, how could we design a cane to work this way? And it was like, we spent like literally 40 minutes talking about like, how could a cane work while hiking? And we were like coming up with different design ideas, and it was like really hard. We were just like, I don't know if there's a way. Where I was like, oh yeah, a dog. Duh. Like, there you go.
That's
obvious. Like, absolutely 100%.
I would feel a lot more comfortable traveling to different places, hiking more. I would feel more comfortable getting out more with a dog. I would.
You can fly with them and
socialize more. You can fly with them. I mean, me personally, I would have a companion, and I'm not saying I don't have any friends or that I don't see people, and I don't socialize with people enough, but I would have a furry friend. I would have someone who's constantly with me. It
makes you feel more confident, I've found, to have a dog with you.
Yeah, exactly. And I know that sometimes you run into trouble because I mean, you can go down. I've gone down many YouTube rabbit holes of service dog videos that get posted with like people being total assholes to these people who are using their
Oh
service
yeah,
dogs.
you hear this all the time. But it's like you can
it's
be
just
righteously
crazy.
indignant about it, like truly righteous. And it's
Yep.
just like we
Yep.
already deal with so much ableism. And to me, I'm just like, yeah, just it's like it's really you're just treating in forms of ableism, you know, because there are things that people fuck you about with the cane. So it's just like, you know, you cannot win. You're going to deal with ableism no matter what. So I'm just like, who cares? It's just a different. You're just getting slightly different flavor of ableism. Like we already have to deal with it anyway.
Exactly. one of my favorites is I think it's called Dog Vlog, and it's the comedian Drew Lynch. He has a service dog. He has
Is it like
a
dog
stutter.
with a blog?
I think it's Dog with a Vlog, maybe, or is it just Dog Vlog? Well,
Because there's a TV show called Dog with a Blog that I'm obsessed with finding.
No,
It's not. It was on Disney,
it's
but
a
apparently
real
it's
thing.
not available on Disney Plus, and I want to watch it so bad. It looks like such a weird, fever dream disaster of a TV show.
I heard it was
so
terrible. Bad. Yeah, I heard it was a really bad show.
I'm glad to hear you say that because I thought it was a bad show, and it just makes me want to watch it more. Yes. Anyway,
it existed. I can confirm that it existed.
Has a blog. Anyway.
Oh my god. Yeah. No. So like, Drew Lynch is one of my favorite ones because he and Stella is a service dog, and he and Stella have these vlogs, and they'll talk about their day, and they'll usually talk about like the assholes that they encounter, and he's also just a really funny comedian. So, and there are loads of those type of things on YouTube. It's a rabbit hole that you can go down. But yeah, I think this was super informative, and it was just insightful and really well put together, and I enjoyed the hell out of it. It was really nice.
I think what we're gonna need to do now is I think we're both gonna have to apply to get a guide dog, and then I think we're gonna have to like document that and do things about it as we both go through the process.
I want to. I really want to.
I mean, I am at a point
really
now between watching this and the hike and like going on a hike, and I was like, I think it was like a week ago now or something, and my shoulder still hurts. Yeah, it was a week ago tomorrow. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, I'm just like, I'm ready.
if I had a dog, I might not have gotten hit by that car.
You definitely wouldn't have. I thought
my own damn house.
I thought that while watching this. I was like, Melissa would not have gotten like hit by that car with a fucking guide dog. Yeah. We need guide dogs.
We absolutely need guide dogs. I need to find besides doing the application process, I need to find a different living situation. But that's a whole nother conversation for another time.
Legally you don't.
legally I do not.
And I think you should still apply because legally you do not need to find a new place to live.
No, because it can actually take years to get a guide dog.
Yeah,
this
definitely.
is not an overnight process. It takes a long freaking time.
Yeah, which is why we could do. Yeah, we would document a long. Yeah, it would be like we would probably by the time we had gotten our guide dogs have watched every single movie with a blind character in it.
More than likely, yeah.
So then we'd become now we have a guide dog podcast. What's it's like? We've just changed what it's about, which would be so funny because our podcast would be called Citizen White Kate, and it would just be about guide dogs.
Guide dogs, yes. Oh my god, that's great.
I guess we'd have to just become Citizen Guide Dog at that point.
Yes, there you go.
Yes, it makes sense that we'd be training out our white cane to be a guide dog. So yeah, it that tracks. The Citizen Guide Dog is not as good of a pun though. It's just kind of weird.
No, yeah.
But we are citizens.
Yes. And we want guide dogs.
Yeah. No. But yeah. Anyway, it was a good movie. It had an audio description, which we were talking about a little before we started the podcast. On Netflix, the audio description, like 10 minutes into the movie, got fucked up and was out of sync, and I reported it to Netflix because all of a sudden it was just completely out of sync, and I was infuriated. And it was like the whole track was out of sync. It was just everyone's voices were out of sync. And I like played another movie on Netflix. Like, it's like, is it Netflix? Is it my computer? Like, and the other videos worked fine. So, and then also on top of that, I switched to normal audio and it was in sync. So I was real mad, and then
Weird.
this is also on Hulu, so then I switched to Hulu,
Oh, thank
and their
goodness.
audio description is in sync, so I have no fucking
Oh,
idea. It's the
good.
same audio description, but it's just in sync on Hulu. So, and it was Backstreet Boys on Netflix, but yeah, sorry.
Oh my gosh.
But you were saying before we recorded that you didn't watch it with an audio description, Melissa.
No, I didn't, and I have my phone set up to play the audio description when available because I love it. I have fully converted now to someone who watches things in as much as I can in audio description.
Yes.
But I have been dodging that with my parents.
To your
because
parents.
I think
Sorry.
I know. No, it's okay. I honestly think it would drive them crazy.
Have you tried, or have they told you that?
I have not, and I should try.
I would just force them to do it because it's like, I don't know.
If I didn't turn it off, yeah.
Because it's so funny. Like, I was watching my stuff at my partner's house. When we'd watch, we would turn on audio descriptions. And then whenever I would, like, go, like, do stuff over the weekend, come back, like, his housemate would watch his stuff without audio descriptions and with subtitles, and so we would be constantly switching back and forth. I was like, we just need to make a different like account so that like your account has like just the subtitles with no audio description, mine has audio description. And so we did that, and then like I come back at one point and they were like, yeah, so we were watching The Mandalorian with audio descriptions, and it's like so much better this way, like we know what all the characters' names are, and like it's way easier to watch this way.
I was gonna say the one thing, and yes, the Mandalorian's audio description, they should win a fucking award.
Yeah, they were like, we learned a new word.
Yep. Same thing.
So funny.
It is hands down the best audio description I have had for anything. I mean, they're naming characters, they're naming races, they're naming
they were like,
towns.
now we know what everyone's race is, and they were very.
And I was
it's Star Wars, not because
right, yeah, because Star Wars. But I was absolutely floored. I was like, my God, they put time into this. Like they put time into this. It's
apparently hardcore. Yeah,
so
if the one thing they could have done is also had Werner Herzog be the audio description. Why can't Werner Herzog be all audio descriptions? This is my new fucking thing.
Yes, I would. Yes, exactly. Have you watched any of The Mandalorian yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, even if because we watched the second season over here because my uncle was here, and he's like obsessed with it and he loves it, and I'm like, oh, finally someone else that's here that I can be obsessed with something with. So I was like, we have to watch the second season, and we did, and my parents really liked it.
Wait, but did they watch it with audio descriptions?
No, so I have to go back and watch it again, which is
stupid
fine, with audio descriptions.
With award-winning audio descriptions.
Yes, with award-winning audio descriptions. Yes, and
actually, there should be audio description awards.
I know, right? There's the audio awards, which are the audio awards. Maybe there's an award for.
No,
I don't know.
There's definitely not audio description awards. We should do them. That should be another. We're gonna do award shows for our podcast, so that should be at least.
Well, that should be one of the categories. Best audio.
Definitely. We should also then just like we should have just generally for the year. We should also have a section where we talk about every audio description that came out this year and rate them.
There you go. There you go.
But
that's not a lot of work.
Yeah, it's extremely a lot of work for a small little segment, but no.
Even if you're not into Star Wars, you have to just listen to an episode because it's exquisite.
Apparently, it's amazing. I love this.
It's amazing.
It is so funny.
So amazing.
Though I have to admit, I was like, I don't want to watch The Mandalorian to my partner because he was like, let's watch it together. And I was like, I don't want to watch it. And he was like, okay, well, then so he watched it with his roommate, and then they had it on audio descriptions and loved the audio descriptions. God, but that's great. My own fault for being like, I don't want to watch it. So I just want to specifically not blame my partner for watching it without me when I distinctly was like, no, I don't want to watch it. But now that I know it has award-winning audio descriptions, yeah, that even though Werner Herzog does not narrate them, but at least he's in it, so this is my main fact. But yeah, so come for Baby Yoda, Werner Herzog, and award-winning audio descriptions, I guess.
Yes.
Anyway,
Absolutely.
but yeah, I think you should watch Disney Plus. I think you should watch movies and things with your family on audio description.
So deal. Well, I'll have a little experiment. And so the next thing we watch, I'll make sure it's something with audio description, and I will just casually leave it on and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's I really think also, I don't know, I just do appreciate when I hear stories of people being like, because I think audio descriptions are so additive and so great, and like if you do a good audio description, then it's really, I think, has just so much access benefits, and like you'll see like people who aren't hard of hearing with closed captions on, and I wish there was more of that with audio descriptions, because it's like, it's really frustrating when they don't have them, or when you can't turn them on with people. And I do think that like, it's just like, I've lost like, feels like years of my life to just people watching stuff that I couldn't enjoy, and feeling shitty and stressed out and left out and bad, and like, and just hearing about people watching an audio description thing that because I had the setting on, and like and they enjoying it like that, it brings me so much joy, like to hear that. It's just, it feels like the exact opposite. It feels like my influence is making TV more fun, like more fun for sighted people, and that is like truly just makes me so happy and feels so like, I don't know, it feels what's the right word, like it's mending something, like it feels like a positive thing to like heal. It feels healing. That's what the word I'm trying to find. So I don't know. I really believe very strongly in just making audio descriptions way more ubiquitous, and like if they were even more ubiquitous, then I feel like maybe even sighted people would start noticing when there was no audio description, like,
right,
because
wouldn't that be cool?
They add so much to things.
Anyway. This past year, for the first time in its freaking history, the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade had audio descriptions.
What?
Now, unfortunately, you had to have a specific channel that I don't think my roommate has, so I couldn't find it. Boo,
have you ever, because I don't have television, have you figured out how to, is there a way to turn on audio description for television?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Well, because you can turn on closed captions, so you should be a setting, right? I don't know.
It's not. I don't know. But they said, boo, exactly. They said that, for the first time it is being broadcast with audio description for the visually impaired, but it's on this certain channel. And I'm like, well, cool. I can't get that shit.
Yeah, it should. I'm saying right now that if we're going to make closed captions like a necessity for people to have those for things, literally you just have to do that with audio descriptions. I'm sorry, like there's no excuse. And it can't be just like people get cookies for it. It needs to be just a fucking law, and just done. It needs to be a fucking law, because that's the only way it's actually going to really happen. And there should be more money put towards like getting blind people to watch anything. Like even once you make it a law, we still can watch barely anything from like from the beginning of film and TV to now. Like there's still very little like older stuff that has audio descriptions, and there should be a lot more like organizations funding like that. There should be even for like distribution of things, there should be laws where it's like, okay, well, if you want to keep this in distribution, you have to make an audio description, if like someone's still getting money from this, like there's got to be audio description. Like you need to just have like truly just laws, like laws. Like you can't, it's just not going to happen unless there's laws.
If almost everything on Netflix and Disney Plus and Hulu can have audio descriptions.
Yeah, no excuse for everyone.
There's no excuse for everybody else. I'm pretty sure HBO, there's nothing. Amazon, there's nothing.
HBO, it makes me so mad because you watch stuff on there and I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
Right, because there's some really good stuff on HBO, and it's like, I don't want to be exclusive to one streaming service, but I'm gonna go where I can have audio description.
Right. Like I will just, yeah, if something doesn't have audio descriptions, I always check to see if it's streaming somewhere else. Like, ugh, and HBO pisses me off. They don't really have a very good excuse. They have a streaming platform. They do nothing to put audio descriptions on their stuff. And like, I don't even think there's a way of turning them on if they existed. Because I'm always like, whenever I'm like fucking pausing something 20 times to like lean in and be like, what? Oh, do I have to go back? I didn't read that. What is happening? I don't understand. Which happens to be all the time when I watch HBO. And so every time I'm like, God, why is there not even a place to like look to see if it even exists? Like, it's like I don't even know, because you don't have a way of changing the language. Like, it's just, you don't have a way of fucking with the settings at all. I think it just makes me so mad. Anyway, but audio descriptions, they're great. Please make sure that they sync up with the thing that you're posting. Please, God, Netflix. Some bullshit, but
God of Netflix. Yeah.
I mean, I love how much you're trying, Netflix. That's good. I still think you should just be required to do it. Like, it's good for you to like be doing it, but Apple really catered to blind people until they just didn't need to, and I imagine Netflix will probably be the same thing. They very soon will not need to cater to us. It's not like they need, we're too small of like, we don't matter in capitalism at all. Most of us are unemployed, so it's like we truly just do not matter to a single company. They only care if like the government is telling them they can't do shit unless they accommodate us. It's the only way this shit will ever get done. It's just, there's no other way. But
well, blind people are the reason why Netflix has closed captioning. Or closed captioning, audio description.
Well, yeah,
Daredevil,
and we're going to be
the
reason for the law too. But it's but it took us being like, really, guys? Which it is kind of funny at the time. It was I was like, that's kind of
Daredevil.
It's funny they didn't think to do that. But now doing this podcast, I'm like, also like I think it was like some very savvy PR, because like most things don't have audio description. Like, even though it's like most things about blind people, because I like always avoided blind people content because of like the stress of it. But like doing this podcast, very few things have audio descriptions. Even though they're about blind people, they still don't have audio descriptions. So it was kind of like, I think, very tactical PR to be like, fuck you, Netflix, for making Daredevil and not having audio descriptions, even though like I'm sure the blind people doing that knew that there is like the technically most content with blind people doesn't have audio descriptions. But like, it's fucking, it should, so go them. But yeah, it's just very I think that one was like a very well thought out. It was like a Rosa Parks moment of just being like, there's a lot of times where this happened, but this was like the exactly manufactured thing to like get the press to like pay attention.
Right. I mean, I heard that story on NPR, and this is when I was still working at the radio station, and like I literally cheered. I was so excited, because it's so obvious. Even the guy they interview who is blind about the story, and he's just like, it's so obvious. It's Daredevil. There are blind nerds. We exist. We have a right to be able to access this content in a way that is appropriate for us.
Yeah, we have a right to access, like, and it's a right that's been like rejected at so many turns. But like, I just really hope that, and that's why we also need award-winning audio descriptions too, because we need like people, we need sighted people to turn on the audio descriptions, and then they're going to have more, like, they're going to want it more. Right.
Yeah. I mean, the Mandalorian's audio description doesn't impede the show at all. It's exquisite. It's just it's another wonderful, beautiful layer that just unfolds into
and
the
like
show.
sighted people are obsessed with doing shit while they're watching TV, which I truly do not understand how they do that or why, but like they love doing that shit, so they should love audio descriptions. Like, I can't just fucking fuck off while I'm watching a TV show. I don't understand how anyone does that. But like, also audio descriptions really great if you're like, do it knitting or some shit like while you're watching TV.
I just like to have a movie, it's usually something I've already watched, but I like to have stuff on in the background.
Oh, I can't understand that. I mean, you have a very different like eye condition to me, but like having no central vision, like if the TV's not all of my vision, if then I can't see it at all. Like,
well, I just like to listen sometimes. And that's how audio description is becoming more handy. because I just
Yeah.
like to have something on in the background to listen to while I'm doing something else. Or,
Right.
you
Whereas
know,
I
if
just
it's like
listen to podcasts.
yeah, exactly. Like I said, usually it's something I've seen before, so I don't have to spend all my time watching if I want to do something else. But
No, it's good. I
yeah,
mean, I don't watch a whole bunch of shows because I'm like, if it's not going to take 100% of my attention, then I can't watch it. Like, I'm only going to watch
what's
stuff
the
that actually
point?
takes my attention. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I'm
Well,
giving my time. Anyway,
I think it's time to actually rate this puppy,
I
this
think
literal
you're
puppy.
definitely right. So what is our pick of the rating of pick of the litter?
Let's see who's going first.
I can go first.
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay, so I'm gonna give this movie a 2300. I think even though, as we said, there isn't actually a lot of blind people in the movie. I mean, it's primarily sighted people training these dogs. But I do think, just as a whole, I think that I like seeing how that system works. I think both of us, I think, saw it as like filling in the stuff we already knew. Like it didn't really give us a completely different context for it. But it was really interesting to actually see this happen and be there, because it's not the stuff that blind people are accustomed to. We have like friends who like did the training and had the dog, and like that part I think is more familiar to us on a personal level. But actually seeing the puppy raisers, no, maybe that's just for me, because you said you had a friend who did puppy racing, so maybe I need to speak for myself on that. But like I actually haven't had someone close to me that I knew who did this, so it's really cool to see that and to understand the system, and to feel like that a lot of the people were not doing this for like a patronizing reason, but we're seeing it as kind of just like, a duty of like volunteering, and as someone who does like volunteer work and really just believes very strongly in like the positive benefits of that. It was really cool to get to watch all these people who, are doing this volunteer service, and like, I don't know, I just am always really like, I enjoy being around those people. Like, I enjoy being one of those people. I think it's also it's a very underestimated like source of happiness. And so I really liked getting to see that, like, I think that can be one of the best things for being happy. And it was also like the fact that it was just a sense of like doing the time of that, and that like blind people, like it wasn't just like, oh, this is like, it was seen as like, yeah, we do this for the blind people, but like in a way that felt like good to me, which a lot of things like that don't feel good to me. And so it was nice, like it was really nice to see people who were being of service to us in a way that felt a lot more humane, and like not not like they were not talking down, but like not patronizing in any way or anything like that. But yeah, so I think I'm giving it a 2300. I mean, I'm giving it a decent blindness, and that's around my sight. But like, I think that there aren't that many blind characters. It's more about the system of blindness. So I think that's why I'm kind of doing a little bit of but I'm definitely giving it above a legal blindness, because I don't know. It was just it makes you feel good. It's fun to watch. It has audio descriptions when they're working properly, and and it just it's kind of, it feels just very observational, and I think it does a good job of not like falling into the like inspirational traps. It's a very just kind of like measured, and just like, this is the system, but also doesn't, like, it's not hitting you over the head with like, blind people need these dogs, like, look at this great thing everyone's doing or whatever. It's like, it's way more just about like kind of how the system functions, and how so many people are like there to help these dogs and like get through all this, and how you kind of like see the weird emotional roller coaster of some of this stuff, but also like there's also something sort of like comforting in the system based, like it's just very like like, you know, we do this and then we do this and we do this. So I think my robot brain liked that part of it as well. But then it's also like there's a lot of humanity in a lot of the different aspects, and so that was kind of, I liked it a lot. And though some of it is shot in Portland, and it fucking distracted the hell out of me. We were talking about
oh my god, me too.
And I was like, oh my god, that's it's the Max. Oh my god, they're at Pioneer Square, which you were saying before, which I was also, I also noticed that. They're like, it's downtown. Oh my god. But it's so distracting. But yeah, so that's my rating. What are you gonna give this, Melissa?
Oh wow. Let's see. I'm 2,400.
Nice.
Yeah. I was just so fascinated throughout the whole thing, and I learned all the stuff that I didn't know, like you said, about the intricacies of guide dogs. It's basically going to be pretty much a rehash of what you said. And just getting to see all of the dogs and following their stories, and I can't help it. My brain did turn it into a reality competition show, kind of, sort of.
It's kind of, it's almost natural to do that. I love
those stupid things. Yeah. They make me happy. And especially, I know we don't usually get political here, but with all the events that have been happening and going around and everything, it was just exactly what I needed.
Yeah.
I needed something wonderful and wholesome and happy, and something that made me feel hopeful.
Yeah, I needed that yesterday when I watched it as well.
Yeah,
so
exactly. Yep. So these guide dogs in this movie came in at like just the right time. And I adored it. And even though I didn't focus a whole lot on the actual blind people, I just felt like it was nice knowing that there's this small army of people who are out there helping to train these dogs so that blind folks like me and like you and like other folks can have mobility and get around and do what we want to do.
More of the world should see disability as like, hey, it's able people's responsibility to make this world work better, and it shouldn't be seen as like it's your responsibility. It should be seen as like something positive and like, I'm all for that.
Exactly.
It was a weirdly optimistic movie. I mean, I guess if you have a bunch of dogs and like, I guess we kind of should have expected that. I think we did. If it wasn't the way it was, I think we would have been like way more down on the movie, because I think we both were expecting it to be what it was. So, Anyway, so that's pick of the litter.
Yay!
Yeah, great pick, Melissa. Great pick of the litter. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
At some point we'll have to see how the Disney Plus series. We should do a couple of episodes of that, because it's super fun. If you watch this along with us and really enjoyed it and want more, Pick of the Litter on Disney Plus is almost exactly the same thing, and it's really cute. Okay, well we'll definitely have to. We'll see. I feel like our guide dogs, we always like take a little guide dog break, because sometimes we have very heavy guide dog content. Though this time we're not really doing that, because next week we're going to come back to In the Dark. We're going to do actually the next couple weeks. We're going to finish off the first season. It's the new year. We're trying to finish up our TV shows that we've been working on. We're gonna do a couple episodes next week. We're gonna watch the next 4 episodes of In the Dark. So episodes 7, 8, 9, and 10. And we're going to come back to another guide dog school, but a very different story about guide dogs. And on the CW, but I think but it also with audio descriptions. So yay, audio descriptions.
Yep. Yay.
So tune in next week and the week after for some more In the Dark, finishing it out. Get caught up now to find out what happens. And then the last thing we have are what we were blindsided by this last week. I can go first, if that works.
Yeah, go for it.
So mine is a book, and it is called Swearing is Good for You. It's by Emma Byrne. It is just short. It's only like 5 hours, I think. Audiobook, but also real book. But audiobook is what matters. Just about swearing, which seems like you might be like thinking, is that like an entire book worth of stuff to talk about? But it's actually super fascinating. There's there's a long chapter actually about like Tourette syndrome and like the mechanism, like what we know about it, and because that's like what people associate, with swearing, like in a way, but it's like a lot more about how Tourette's is more complicated than that, and so that's super interesting. But there's also like stuff just about how swearing, like the different types of swearing and how the different ways it's used to like build connection with people, and like that there's a lot of like all the misconceptions about swearing, that like people who swear have like less of a vocabulary when it's actually the opposite, and like how swearing actually makes you trust people, like someone who's under stress, if they're swearing like in an interrogation, people actually when they hear it they trust them more because they're it seems more like genuine. And there's stuff about like how people with strokes, like their relationship with swearing, because like some people who, depending on the hemisphere of your brain, you swear. Some people like have a stroke and in one of the hemispheres, now I'm forgetting because of my dyslexia, but they like most of their language is swearing, whereas if you have a stroke on the other side of the brain, it's you don't swear at all, like you lose the ability to swear, and how it's connected to humor. Lots of cool stuff. So I'm instead of telling you every single thing in the book, you should check it out. But it's a quick read, and it's super interesting. And it's called Swearing is Good for You, and it's by Emma Byrne. It's available on Audible, and it's probably on other platforms maybe too. But nice. Yeah,
I can confirm that it's on Libby, which is the platform that most libraries uses, because I just added it to my shelf. Yes. Or I just placed the hold on. I placed the hold on the audiobook. I'm super excited.
Yay, awesome. And thank you so much for giving that up-to-date information that I didn't come prepared with as well on what else it's on. So that was great. Thank you.
No problem. Anytime.
What were you blindsided by this week, Melissa?
I was absolutely blindsided by the movie Game Night. So it's 2018 action comedy with Jason Bateman and Rachel McAdams leading the cast. And it's basically about Max and Annie, played by Bateman and McAdams. And they are a couple who fell in love over board games, and they have this awesome game night with their friends every week. And Jason Bateman's brother comes to town, and he is totally awesome and good at what he does, and all Jason Bateman wants to be is his brother, basically. So his brother organizes this game night, but he organizes a murder mystery game night. And so yeah, hits way too close to home.
I was gonna say it's up your alley.
Yes, very much up my alley. And the whole game is like somebody gets kidnapped, and then they have to find them, blah blah blah. Well, as they're playing the game, Jason Bateman's brother actually gets kidnapped, and what we find out is they're not actually playing a mystery game. Everything is real.
Classic.
This whole thing. And so it's this whole like wild ride, and it's this group of friends who have to play the game and try and save his brother from being killed by these Bulgarian mobsters.
Classic.
Basically.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's awesome.
It is. Yeah. It's super fun. The dialogue is really funny. The action is really awesome and funny. And I love these. It's just so great. Like all these things for every single member of the group, all these characters, these things are set up for them. And you think, oh, they're going to drop this plot point, or they're just going to forget about this. No. Everything is solved. Everything is all the jokes that they set up are paid off in the end brilliantly. It is just a really, really friggin' well-written comedy.
Nice.
With action. And it was exactly what I needed yesterday.
That's awesome.
So, yeah, Game Night, I highly recommend it. It's so fun. It's such a wonderful distraction. And it's just it will make you laugh, and there are just jokes that I laughed my ass off over, and I was gasping, and oh my god, and my parents had fun. Actually, we all had a really good time.
That's awesome.
They didn't like the language though. It's rated R because of language. And I'm just like, and they cuss a lot in this movie. I mean, you
got to read that book though, and you will be able to have lots of good comebacks about swearing.
Exactly.
So.
yes. But yeah, game night. It's streaming. I mean, I rented it off of iTunes, but you can find it at the usual places.
Yeah,
so,
I have definitely wanted to see that back when it was in theaters. I remember seeing trailers and wanting to see it, and I just haven't yet.
And I'm like, oh, this looks so good, and then I just never got around to it. And multiple people on multiple movie podcasts that I listen to have listed it as like one of their favorite comedies, and I'm like, okay, cool. Never gotten around to it, and then last night I was like, it's time.
Nice.
We're gonna watch game night. Yeah, so game night.
I'm definitely
excited me this week.
Gonna reach out for it as well, because that is something that I was like, oh, I wonder if this is well written, and really like what you described. I was like, this movie could be what you just described. In my head I was thinking this, but I was like, it could also be just kind of like a just weird mess, but I was really hoping it was what you described, so it's very awesome to know. So I'm definitely excited to go find it. And you said, did you rent it, did you say?
Yeah, we rented it. Yep.
Off
of iTunes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. So it's not like very streaming.
Oh, no. It's actually not. Sorry. It's actually not streaming, but you can rent it off of iTunes and Amazon, and
for a few bucks.
For a few bucks, the usual places. Yeah. I rented it for like $3.99. It was so
not too.
Yeah.
Remember when we went to Blockbuster? That was like the exact same model. Weird. Do you remember that? It's crazy.
Yes. Oh god. Yeah. Oh my god. Blockbuster is a huge thing in Alaska. Well, everywhere, and in my family.
Yeah. Well, didn't you guys were the last ones with the Blockbuster, right?
We were, and then I think that one it was either in Anchorage or North Pole. One of them shut down, and I think there's one. Last one is actually in Oregon now.
Oh, so it's wherever you live.
I'm not sure.
I was thinking it was one or the other. Yeah, that's very funny though.
Yeah, I cannot confirm that information, but yeah, I'm pretty sure the one in Alaska finally shut its doors.
Well, that's sad. I used to be a big Blockbuster stan, but that's okay. Mm-hmm. It's really what we have now is better. Our theme song is by Lucia Fasano. Our YouTube is Citizen White Cane Podcast. Our Twitter is White Cane Pod. Our Instagram and our Facebook are both Citizen White Cane, and our email is citizenwhitecanepod@gmail.com. If you'd like to leave us a voice message, there's a link in the show notes. Have you been a puppy raiser, and what's your career change to graduated guide dog ratio?
Give us your best guide dog names.
Yeah, and what is your pick of the litter? Yeah. Don't forget to rate the podcast and review and subscribe. Yeah, don't forget that stuff, guys. It's super important. Come back next week. We're going to we're going to go back into the dark, and we're going to find out who murdered Tyson, or if he is murdered, or what happened. We find his body so far, I think. So he's definitely murdered, I believe. But we'll find out what happened in next week's episode. So come back for that, and we'll see you then.
Bye!
Bye!
A teen boy enters the guide dog campus.
Hello there. You are getting a lovely little boy by the name of Patriot. You'll be raising the puppy?
Yeah.
Awesome. And so will the puppy be going to school with you then?
Yes.
Fantastic. So does that make you like the most popular guy at school?
It's a small school, so
yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.